Hello, Port Washington Saukville School District staff. My name is Chad Banky, and I thought, what better way to talk about Screencastify than to actually use Screencastify? So I'm going to talk here about some how-to, some tips that I've learned using the Google extension Screencastify. So first of all, some of my ideas I took from some of these sources. First of all, these are all clickable links here. So these two on the left are just some ways to use Screencastify. They are PDFs. And then the ones on the right, these are 3 individual trainings. They suggest you do the first one, Master the Screencast, then Genius. Then the third one is actually one that you can have your students do. Like it says, it's about 10 minutes. But these are all links that take you directly to the courses. So, yeah. And just a couple things that I found really helpful, even before doing this presentation for Screencastify. Alice Keeler is a teacher, a Google certified innovator. She's a really good follow on Twitter, and then she also has her own website. Again, these are clickable links here. And then this last part is actually a link that goes directly to the, I think it's help.screencastify.com. So if you have any questions, some frequently asked questions are on that link. So those are just some of my resources. But first of all, if you don't have the extension, you're going to want to go to screencastify.com, and it's going to look identical to what you're seeing on my screen. And you can click on one of these two, and it'll take you directly to the Chrome Web Store to download the Screencastify extension. And like it says, it's completely free. It's going to take you to this page, and you're going to want to click on Add to Chrome. And then as soon as you do that, it's going to pop up right to the right of your URL bar. Okay, so you'll have a little extension pop up right there. If you don't, you'll want to click on, there's going to be like a puzzle piece here. Just click on that, and in the drop down bar, it'll be there. Just pin it to your tab. And then, right away when you click on, you click on that extension, their logo there, it should take you to some page similar to this, where it kind of just, if you haven't done it before. If you have done it before, then you're not going to have to worry about it. If you've already downloaded Screencastify and you've used Screencastify, you would have already have done this prior to this. But for the first time, it will take you something similar to this, where it's going to want you to allow Screencastify, the extension, to use your microphone on your computer and also use your camera as well, because obviously right now you're hearing my voice. It's going to be using your microphone, and then you will also have the ability to use your webcam. If you're making videos for your students or maybe even staff, you might want to have your face shown, especially during remote learning. Okay, so it's going to want you to allow certain permissions. Actually, before that, it's also going to want you to sign up through Google. Make sure you do that. Use your school Google, and also make sure at some point there is something that wants you to create a Google Drive folder, and you're really going to want to do that. So, because it's going to create you a Screencastify folder in your Google Drive. Allow it to do that. Okay. Then, as far as recording your first video, like I said previously, you can still see it on this picture here. You're going to click on that. Once you're all done with the permissions and setting it up, you're going to want to click on that extension again. It's going to pop up what looks like this. As far as recording your first video, you can record a video that is just a webcam, where all that your viewers are going to see is you. Your desktop, which allows you to switch between browsers. If you're using a desktop, you're going to be able to switch between certain apps, or just a browser tab, which is just that one specific tab where you're not seeing anything other than that. You're going to then see these two items where you're going to want to choose which microphone you want, depending on if you want your voice heard. I would imagine that's, if you're recording your screen, that's what you're going to want to do. Make sure you choose whatever one you're doing. If you're wearing a headset, they do recommend, I've done videos without it, but they do recommend using, wireless or wired headphones. Make sure you're choosing that microphone. Otherwise, like I said, I've done it through my computer, so you can just choose your computer's microphone. And like I said, sometimes you're going to want to include your webcam. In remote learning, if you want the students to focus on what you're saying versus what's on the screen more so, you're going to want to embed a webcam. And really, it starts off with a small webcam, and then you can actually make it bigger or smaller. It's not overly big. It doesn't even take up half the screen, but you can make it bigger or smaller, and then you can actually move the web camera throughout your screen. So if at some point your webcam is, in the bottom right hand corner, and you have something down there that you want them to see, so you want to move it away, you can do that. Also, if you click on show more options, you can see this. Okay. Countdown, the default is 3 seconds, meaning once you hit record, it'll start counting down. 3, 2, 1. I don't remember the other options. I want to say you can go all the way up to 10, where it gives you a little bit more time, where again, once you hit record, it'll go 10, 9, 8. I usually just stick with 3. Show drawing tools. So what is helpful, I don't know if you can see it. It'll usually pop up this down here. Drawing tools, you can use such things as where, actually I'll do it for you, where if you want them to focus on a specific spot, okay, you can do it where there is no mouse at all, or highlight clicks. I don't want to do that now because I'm in a presentation, but because it'll switch to the next slide. But if every time you click, it'll make it, I believe it's red. So that's one thing. Another thing is using a pen, and you can change the color, so I can actually draw right on my screen. All right. So you can change the different colors there. And then the other drawing tool is the eraser. And then this isn't a drawing tool, but you can also, like right now, if I wanted to embed my webcam, that's what this one would do, embed webcam. And then if I just want to get rid of the toolbar, I could just get rid of that there. Okay. And the last one is system audio, meaning like sometimes you can actually record a YouTube video as it's playing, and that may not make sense why you'd want to do that. I'll explain that later. But if you want the audio from your computer to be part of the video, that's that last one. I haven't had any of those come up during my recordings, but it's an option. And then again, once you're ready, hit record. So depending on what your countdown is, okay, it'll go 3, 2, 1, and then you're into the video. Okay, and at any point you can pause the video. Okay, I can't show you what that's like right now because it would pause it. And I don't want to really get into that, but you can pause it and then you can stop your recording, you can delete your recording, you can start over again. But the options are going to be right at the bottom of your screen once you pause it. At the end of your recording, so once you hit pause and then hit stop, meaning you're done with your recording, it'll look like this. Okay, this is what your screen will look like. Okay, you can change the name of your recording. Generally, I like to have names for all my recordings, just because once they save to your Google Drive, I want one recording to be different than the other. That's just personal preference. You'll notice you can trim. If you notice that there's a part where you didn't like, you could trim it. Also, in terms of sharing, you can share directly to Google Classroom. That's one option. So if you know that this video is ready to go, you want to put it right to Google Classroom, that's an option. You can publish it to YouTube. So if for whatever reason you want it to, you want the link to be a YouTube link, you can publish it to YouTube. You can also get the embed code. So if you have a Google site and you want it to go right into a specific spot, you can get the embed code. You can send it in an email if you want. If you want to send it out to a parent, you can send it right in an email. You can generate a QR code, and I'll explain an example of that later. There are also other options as far as sharing goes. If you want to click Add More Share Options. Now, once you hit Add Share or More Share Options, these are the options. So one thing I'll talk again about later is if you want to turn this into an Edpuzzle video, you can just click right there. Okay. So if you want to add questions to it, make it an Edpuzzle video, that's an option, and you'll see these other options below as well. Now, one thing I've noticed that if you want to copy just the link, and that's what I've done mostly in the past, copy shareable link. It's not, depending on the video, the video length, it's not going to be ready right away. So if you have a 30-minute long video, it's not going to be ready right away for you to share the link to. And if you want to share it out to your students, if it's a 30-minute long video, it's not going to be ready to share right away. Because if you do copy that link and share it to your kids right away, this is what it's going to look like on their end. Okay, so you could always, like I said, if you copy that link and then you open a new tab and paste it into that tab, if you want to see if it's ready, paste it into that tab and then hit enter. Okay, if it looks like this, it's just not ready yet. If it's ready to go, you'll know because it'll open up to a video. Okay, but those are the sharing options as far as where you can share it out to. Now, also as far as sharing a video, like I said, if you follow my directions at the beginning and allowed Screencastify to create a folder in your Google Drive, you're gonna have a Google Drive video, or excuse me, a Google Drive folder. That's one way. All your videos that you create will be put right directly into that folder. Also, as far as sharing, you can on that, at the end of that video or at the end of that, you can click, or even later, if you click on the extension and then click on those 3 bars, these are what your options are going to look like. My recordings, basically your account settings. If you click on my recordings, every single one of your recordings that you've ever made will pop up. Now, as far as if you do click on copy shareable link, obviously one thing that I've come across is sometimes, you'll share a link out, and then if you just do the, like I said, if you just do the copy shareable link. This isn't for any of these other ones. But if you just share the link, there are privacy settings, and I can't remember what the default ones are. But if you click on, before clicking on copy shareable link, or even after, it doesn't matter. If you click on more options, you can see this is what mine looks like right now. It's unlisted. But if it's not unlisted, if you click on that arrow right there, these are your options as a PWSSD staff member. Okay. Anyone at PWSSD can find that video. So that's one option. Unlisted at PWSSD. So anybody with the domain pwssd.k12 can, with that link, can view it. Private, where only you can view it. Public, where anybody can find and view it. Or unlisted. I generally stick with the unlisted, meaning anybody with the link. I don't do the unlisted at PWSSD because, our parents aren't going to be able to view it then if they have the link. So depending, I typically stick with the unlisted, meaning anybody, whether it's a parent or a student or a staff member, can view that link. Okay. Or if they have the link, they can view the video. So make sure you have that option. You have those options in, or you can also check the privacy settings on your folder. But in general, I would stick with unlisted. That's just my preference. Now, this is an advanced thing. It's called Screencastify Edit. This is an option that you can find. So this is what it looks like after making a video. If you think back to before, it says open an editor. That's one option. It'll pop up looking like this down here. Another option, if you go into your Google Drive, and you open up if you open up a video, you can see part of my video peeking out there. Towards the top of your Google Drive, if you click on that down arrow, you'll notice it says Screencastify Video Editor. The nice thing about Screencastify Edit, I haven't used this yet. Usually I just edit it, right after it's done. But the nice thing about this is, let's say you want to piece together, you make multiple videos. If you want to put them all together, that's what the nice thing about Screencastify Edit is, where you can upload video after video after video and then kind of piece them together. So, like I said, I haven't done that yet because I've just done, I make one video and that's it. But I can definitely see where that would be nice if you want to do that. This is a clickable link up here, edit.screencastify.com. It'll take you right there. And then the last thing, this is also a clickable link. As far as going right to the help section at Screencastify for Screencastify Edit. But again, that's the major one that I've seen is if you want to piece together multiple videos. Now, this last section I called ways to use Screencastify Edit. So you may have been thinking, why would I want to use Screencastify? Or maybe you only think there's one use for it. Make a video about a lesson and then put it out to your students. Through the trainings, through the trainings that I've done through Screencastify, I got some ideas from them, and I've also got some ideas, throughout my searching online, but also some of my personal ones that I could see it used for. So I'd already talked about this. If in Edpuzzle, you can use YouTube links, you can use Khan Academy links. Edpuzzle has their own videos, but if you want to make your own lesson and insert questions and put it into Edpuzzle, that's a reason you'd use Screencastify. Okay. I haven't done, last year I didn't do that. I just gave students my videos. But if you want to ensure that they're watching them and you want to place questions in them, okay, that's an option. If you want to create a hyperdoc with links to your videos, so a hyperdoc, if you want to do it in Google Slides, if you just want to have links to your videos all in one spot, that's a way to use Screencastify. Before I had talked about If you want to share with a share with a QR code, um, typically why you'd want to use that is if you're delivering it via paper option. So if you're giving your staff members a staff newsletter, or if you do a weekly parent newsletter and you actually give them a physical copy of the paper, or if it's an actual open house, not a virtual open house, or whatever reason you're giving a paper copy, you can what you would do is you would share with a QR code, and you would copy and paste that QR code onto the Google Doc or whatever you're using, and then the parents or staff or whoever it is, students, can use their device's camera and open the QR code, and it'll take it right to your video that you made using that QR code. Or another option later, if you have a guest teacher, if you want to, you're going to have a paper copy on your desk. If you want to use a QR code, they can use their device to do that. Another thing, and this is one that is a personal idea of mine. So if you have a syllabus, and let's say you just, you don't want to get all, print all, you want to save the environment, you don't want to print off paper, use so much paper, you can use Google Forms. And what I envision this is as your Screencastify video would be multiple sections, like let's say you want to talk about your homework policy. You could do a Screencastify video, you showing your syllabus in Google Docs and talking about your homework policy, and then pasting that video into a section in Google Forms. And then your next one would be your rules and expectations. Doing a Screencastify video in Google Docs of what your rules and expectation are, placing that into a different section into a Google form, and then in the end, having one of the question, if you've ever used Google Forms, making a question of basically, I understand Mr. Banky's syllabus. I've read and understand Mr. Banky's syllabus, and then them just typing in their name. Or if you want to make a quiz using Google Forms, or whatever it may be, okay. But if you don't want to use a paper copy, if you want to do it in Google Forms, you can do that. Also, for our our ELA teachers, foreign language teachers, if you're having kids do an essay or some type of writing in Google Docs, now especially during remote learning where you're not able to see your students every day, in the past you would be doing a lot of emailing back and forth with the student, or commenting on their Google Doc, hey, this is what you should do. But as we know, sometimes typing, it can be a lot. If you have a lot of ideas for the student, it's a lot of text, and it may be hard for them to understand. As we know, we don't always get our best in text. So instead of just typing, hey, Johnny, I think it would be better if you did this, what you can do is make a Screencastify video. The video would be you having their Google Doc open on your screen and just talking through, hey, highlighting certain parts. It'd be cool if you did this here. And then once you're done, placing that link in a comment in the Google Doc. So instead of actually commenting, hey, Johnny, it'd be good if you did this, if you did this, if you did this, placing the link in a comment saying, here are my ideas for your essay, and then sending out that comment. I could see that being more valuable than a text one, because like I said, text can be hard to understand. If you want to have students explain their mathematical work, so if you're doing like a quiz in Google Forms, This is an example, by the way. It's not, you're not going to see it, so I'm not gonna open that one, but you can open on your own. Let's say, because during remote learning, especially, I'm thinking for math, if you have them, answer a question about simplifying expressions or whatever it may be, you can't always, if they get the right answer, you can't always know for sure that they knew what they were doing. So what you could have them do is make their own Screencastify video of them explaining their thinking. Hey, Mr. Banky, this is how I solved this problem. Because students, like I said before, students can actually make their own Screencastify videos. So they could be, diagramming, if you're, I'm just thinking of a simple equation here. They could be drawing in a Google form and solving it and talking you through how to do it. So students can also make Screencastify videos. So maybe you want them to insert a link to a Screencastify video on a Google form. Another thing, I don't know if you have students making portfolios of, their best work or whatever it is. This is what I did during this lesson. This is what I did during this lesson. You can have students create a video and make their own Google site. Or if you have a teacher website as a Google site, you can place your videos into a Google site. Also, as far as, wanting to reassess, some departments, before reassessing, you have to demonstrate what you did to relearn that material or demonstrate extra work to understand the material. The example that I have, this is a clickable link down here. You could have a student complete a quizzes. This is what they did here. Have a student complete a quizzes, and obviously, if you've used quizzes before, it's basically multiple choice. You can't for sure know that they understand the material, so you could have the student talk through them doing a quizzes, just like before when you had students explain their mathematical work in a video. You could have them create a video of them going through a quizzes and saying, Mr. Banky, this is what I would do for this one, and then they could share that video with you. So again, this could be them demonstrating their new understanding to take a reassessment. Another thing, ways to use Screencastify. Let's say a virtual exit slip. You can actually create what's called called Screencastify Submit. You can actually create an assignment. Students can create their own videos, but you can actually create an assignment in Screencastify Submit. I have some links here. I personally have not done it before, but that's an option. The next one, creating a tutorial for staff in your building. Obviously, that's what I'm doing right now. I've done it before for Google Sites. You can use that using Screencastify. Let's say you want to create a virtual study guide. You can do that in Google Docs or Google Sheets. You can talk through videos of how to do each topic in your unit and place those videos into that virtual study guide. I had mentioned this before. Let's say you have a guest teacher coming in, and obviously, as best as we try to make our lesson plans understandable, that may not always be the case. Or if you want to throw something else in there, you can create a video, and like I said, make a QR code, and then place that at the bottom of your plans. And then when the guest teacher comes in the next day, they can see that and open it up using their device, and it'll take them directly to your video. Reading fluency is another option. So obviously, during remote learning, if you have to check to see as far as where the student is as far as their reading fluency, you could have the students record themselves recording from their screen. Okay, they could have their whatever it is, a PDF or a link up on their screen, and they could be recording themselves reading from their screen. I talked earlier about using your video to place it into Edpuzzle. You could also place it into Flipgrid. It's another option. This is another thing I'm doing right now. You can narrate Google Slides for professional development. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm doing it right now. Or if you're having your students create a book, typically I've seen this in Google Slides. If you want them to narrate their story, you could do that as well. Let's say you are in one of the related arts, band, choir, whatever it may be. If you want them to record a musical performance, you could have their sheet music up on their screen and playing their music. Video dubbing. Now, this is an example I was talking about before. Let's say you want to talk over someone else's YouTube video. Okay, you could Screencastify, pull up their YouTube video, which, by the way, the directions on this, I found this is the link to that. But let's say there's a YouTube video out there that you really like, but you don't like the audio on it. You could screen record someone else's video with you talking over it. Or let's just say you want, since it's your students, you want your voice on it instead of the person's voice on it. You could video dub, meaning you're talking over the YouTube video versus the other person's original voice. Let's just say, it's always nice to email parents about positive things about a certain student. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Johnny has really done a fantastic job this week. He really positive. He hasn't been talking out of turn, so whatever it may be. Sometimes it's best to actually make a video. Obviously a phone call is nice too, but a video would also be nice too. You can do that. You can also, like I said, you can put video directions in Google Classroom. That's an option. And then lastly, if you make a quiz in Google Forms, if it's multiple choice, A, B, C, D, what you can also do is then make an answer key saying A is correct, so that when they answer B, they can see, I was incorrect. However, they may not know why they were correct, why they were incorrect, excuse me. So what you could do is actually place a video into that answer key explaining why A was correct and why the other ones were incorrect. Or, like I said before, you could have them give their video thinking about talking through their answer. So these are just some examples of ways to use Screencastify that I thought would be beneficial to you. Like I said, some of those ideas came from these two right here. Again, these are clickable links. All of these are. Like I said, if you're looking for more training, start with Master the Screencast, then go to Genius. This is an hour-long one. This is a 45-minute long one. I believe this is the Genius one is the one that's directed by Alice Keeler. But even as much as I knew about Screencastify, I found these entirely beneficial. You'll get a nice certificate. You'll get a badge. But also, like I said, if you're going to want your students to make their own videos, I would encourage you share this the link to this one, Master the Screencast Junior, with your students, because they're going to have to download the extension just like you did. So instead of making your own videos about how to use Screencastify to help your kids, just have your kids create it, and you can tell whether or not they completed it because they'll get a certificate just like you did. Okay, so that has been Screencastify. I hope you have enjoyed my short presentation here.